We got a great one coming up over here for you, including meeting the Artist of the Month at the Amanika Art Center. Her name is Natalie. We're going to chat with her, show you her kind of art on the show today, plus meet a real high roller here in PG who's going to Vegas for a good reason, to play poker. All that and more coming up on CKPG today. You would not believe the quality of photos you can get from the cell phone nowadays. And that is really the definition of this month's Artist of the Residence at the Amanika Art Center. Our local artist spotlight, Natalie Breckus, shows around their cell phone and takes grunge-style photos. Find out more about that and her story, so we'll head inside here at the Amanika Art Center. Come along. Inside the Amanika Art Center, you'll find this month's Artist in Residence, Natalie Breckus. Thanks so much for making the time today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so maybe introduce folks to the art here when they walk in the Art Center. What are they about to see?
So I have a collection of photos here that I've taken over about the last 15, 16 months or so. And it's basically an exploration into something called grunge photography. Grunge photography has three basic definitions. The first is actually taking photos of people in the grunge lifestyle, which seems pretty obvious. The second one is the editing of the photos afterward. Often you get really blown out pictures or really strong contrasts, grainy kind of production and things like that. And then the third one, which is the one that I do, is you take pictures of things that people often overlook or would consider trash or needing repair or replacement. So I try to find interesting and beautiful things about those things.
Do you have a particular spot in the city or the region that works best for what you're trying to get? Or do you have a secret spot?
Not secret, but there are two main sites that I go to. The Queensway Community Garden has a fantastic fence around the whole property, and the panels are painted in different colors. And it's old, and they're starting to peel, and so you get some really beautiful aging of the wood and the paint. But also, I love the Railway Museum. The rusting metal on the big machinery and things like that is just fascinating for me.
Yeah, it definitely fits the vibe in here. If you walk around, you can kind of get the sense. Talk to me about the progression, though. This is pretty cool. It's kind of you walk around and you see a transformation, a progression, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to tell a story. Where you walk in the door, where you first encounter my photos, they're really beautiful objects. They're flowers and leaves and things like that. And I've said this several times to different people. It's really easy to take beautiful photos of beautiful things, and it's less easy to take beautiful photos of not beautiful things.
How many pieces are on the wall here in the Amanika Art Center? I mean, it looks like, I'm going to guess, maybe it's a bad guess, just look over 25 or something like that?
I have 60 images.
60? Okay.
Yeah, and they're all 6" by 6" or 15 centimeter by 15 centimeter images. And I did that on purpose. Kind of the subline to the title of my show is a journey of quiet moments or something like that. Sorry, I've forgotten.
Yeah.
And I wanted these little images to just show a tiny little snapshot, pardon the pun, of the situation that I found myself in that day. Yeah.
I like that a lot. What started you along this journey of grunge photography?
So that's where things start to get quite personal and a little bit dark and sad. I'm a domestic abuse survivor. And about 15, 16 months ago, I experienced some things that really triggered a lot of my past trauma that I thought I had processed really well, and obviously had not. And I really kind of burrowed in and went really internal with my mental health and started to spend a lot of really quiet time with myself, meditative time, walking meditations, things like that. And on some of these walks, I started to encounter some of these objects. And so I just pulled out my phone. These are all cell phone photos as well.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of an amazing thing.
Yes, that is incredible.
Yeah, and some of the images are really fantastic. I have a good phone. But I really spent time, intentional time, focusing in on finding my way through some of this kind of garbage that I have in my brain. And some of the pictures are literal garbage. And I thought, but there's still beauty in these things if we look at it the right way.
Well, thank you for sharing. This is powerful, and of course, it takes a lot of courage to come forward and share things like that as well. So thank you for your time today, Natalie. If people are wondering workshops, you got some planned here in Dominica too?
I do. So my opening reception is on February 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. And you're welcome to come down. I'm going to do a little bit of a talk. And then on February 15th, I'm going to do a free workshop on basic grunge photography. It's going to be here and kind of in the area if you want to go outside. But there are so many opportunities in this building to do some really fascinating photos.
Definitely when you look around here at the Dominica Arts Center, it might change your perspective on just little pieces and things you might not have noticed before if you look at all the pictures on the wall. So yeah, thanks so much. And yeah, amazing work with the cell phone on all these. I wouldn't believe it unless you told me.
Local Artist Spotlight on CKPG Today is brought to you by Dominica Arts Center, a safe space for creativity to flourish.
Cal Johnson from Prince George is one of those going to be heading south. Congratulations on the big Canadian win in Calgary, Cal, but you're headed for bigger, brighter things now, I hear.
Yeah, we get to go to Vegas and play in the Tournament of Champions down there. Be sometime this summer, probably in June. Get to play with the big boys. I've played there before, but I always had to pay my own entry fee. This time they do.
This is pretty exciting, yeah, because tell me how you started playing poker. I understand you're just saying we kind of just started a group of friends and the rest is history now.
Yeah, that's basically it. You know, I've always been a card player, and you know, we play poker once a week all summer, not when we're home. And we have a place down in Yuma, Arizona, and they got a poker club down there, and we play 3 or 4 times a week, and not for big money and stuff like that,
right.
But you know, just for fun. And as you go along, you get better and better. And
yeah, I was going to say, like, has your strategy changed over time?
I don't know that my strategy's changed, but my patience has. Patience is a big thing, and you know, maximize your losses and make sure you don't lose too much when you do lose a hand. And,
right.
And
well, it's a great song.
Maximize all your gains when you can.
I like it. Yeah, I was going to say, as a great song once said, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them, eh?
Yeah. There was I think 564 players in this tournament.
Wow.
So it was 14 and a half hours of, so you can get lucky, but you still got to get a few cards, and you got to have some patience and
that's a long time.
And go with it. And 14 and a half hours sitting there, you get a break every couple hours to go to the washroom, and
that's it.
And your lunch break at 6 hours, which there's 500 people heading for the lunchroom, so it's it's pretty intense.
Well, do you have a pre-poker game routine that you do, Cal? Some lucky ritual?
Not really. There's 3 of us that traveled over together, and we just chatted about how much patience you got, and sometimes you got to throw away you think it's the best hand, and it may well be, but you don't know that for sure. So you take your chances, and halfway through the tournament, one of my buddies come up and says, you're chip leader right now. You could run away with this.
Just getting in your head too.
Yeah,
you gotta let that down. It's because it's as much of a game of the cards, but it's a mental game too.
It definitely is. So when we got to the head table, I had 70% of the chips already. So the other 9 people had to take their other 30% and divide them against them. So I was kind of a little bit of a bully, but
got to do what you got to do to win.
About. That's right.
You see her on the table as well. Cal brought his ring from that event in Calgary. Pretty cool. Did you ever think of when you were playing poker of doing anything like this, or it's just kind of like, yeah, maybe I'll go to an event one day and see where we end up?
Not really. It's just kind of a hobby that we, get around and have a few beer and stuff like that, and there's some pretty good poker players in Prince George. So
yeah, I was going to say, what do you think of the local poker scene? Pretty good.
Yeah, there's some really good poker players. There's probably a half a dozen that go to Vegas every year and play, and there's a group from Vanderhoof that comes and then they go. We ran into them in Calgary, so It's pretty good. There's about probably 4,000 people in Calgary playing poker there for the week. And when you go to Vegas, yeah, it's a different story. Sometimes there's 10,000 people in 3 different rooms. And,
Oh my God.
it's definitely, you know, people looking at you going, ooh, and you're looking around going, holy shit. You know, so.
I was going to ask you before we end this here, Cal, what would your advice be to the average poker player out there looking for some tips on their game?
Patience, and, you know, don't think you're going to win.
That's the trick.
You got to kind of play it as it goes along, and if you think you're going to get pushy, it never works out that way.
I love it. Well, thanks for making the time to chat today. Congratulations on the win in Calgary, and best of luck in Las Vegas.
Okay, thank you very much.
Miss an episode? That's okay, life gets busy. We get it. Or maybe you didn't miss anything, but you're here to watch that one feature again because honestly, it was that good. No judgment. Here's the good news. You can relive every moment of the CKPG Today Show whenever you want. Head over to ckpgtoday.ca, click on the Today Show tab, and voila. So grab some snacks, kick back, and binge away because let's face it, life's too short to miss out on great local TV. When you come downstairs here at the Exploration Place, there are a ton of items here, historical items. Some of the items that might have the answers to some of your long-standing questions here in Prince George, or maybe just some of the stories you don't know, including what we're going to show you today. Hey, look what we found in your chat. Thanks for making the time.
Caden, welcome down here. Oh, it's always great to talk to you guys about all this old stuff.
Well, hey, people love it. We love doing it. So, hey, what story do you got for us today?
Have you heard of Wally West?
I've heard of that guy.
Oh, yes, WD West Studios. Now, Wally was an amazing photographer. He was a little bit of a mad inventor in the photography world, very well regarded by his peers globally. And right here we have one of his inventions here. It's a contact printer.
So he's not just a photographer, he's an inventor.
He's an inventor, yes, and he would have referred to himself as a photochemist.
A photochemist,
really? A photochemist, yes, it's the art and the science of photography. So he was always mixing up his own little developing fluids and things like that. He was, like I said, he was a bit of a maverick in that way.
Interesting.
And he really believed that all of the magic happened when you're taking a photo, not in composing the photo, not in getting that perfect lighting, because he didn't believe that perfect lighting even existed when you're taking the photo. He decided it was all in the darkroom, all when you're developing out these things. And
it's all about the after.
It's all about the after. And so this contact printer gave him a lot of control for minimizing or increasing shadows and light. So again, a contact printer, so you would have printer paper connected in direct contact with the negative. So the photo would be the exact size of the negative as well.
Right.
And it would go up in this slot over here.
Yeah. How old is this?
This is, I believe he made this in the 50s, I want to say. So he has complete control as the photo is developing out over these lights here in the bottom.
You can see them there.
And they can be timed on and off. So as it's developing out, you're getting this change in light coming. And there's these areas of tissue here.
Yeah, this isn't for baking?
No, not for baking at all. He would cut these into different shapes to, again, increase the level of shadow and light that he would have. So
this was the Photoshop before Photoshop.
This is the Photoshop before Photoshop, invented right here in town.
Wow.
And these are the sorts of things that got him the title of Honorary Master of Photographic Arts. Which is a very esteemed, it's essentially like a scientist getting his doctorate of science, right?
It's kind of like
Instead
a
of
Nobel Prize type
Yes,
thing.
exactly. And it's all peer reviewed. It's all given to you by your peers, other photographers.
Interesting. So this has lived its life. How long do you think it was used for? Do you think it was created maybe 40s, 50s, but
I think it was probably used up until the end of his career. I
Really?
would imagine. I would imagine, but again, don't quote me on that. Relatives of Wally would know best. And you know, we still have people to this day asking about Wally all the time, and his photography is just. It's amazing when you look at it. It really feels like you're looking at a three-dimensional object on a two-dimensional piece of paper, right? And this is what helped do that.
I was going to say, when you talk about Wally West in photography, not only a long-standing name here in Prince George and Northern BC, but what are some of the photographs that come to mind when you think of some of the items maybe in the collection, the exploration place, that Wally West took? What are some of the most iconic?
I love so many of the photographs. There's this one photograph. I'll send it to you guys.
Okay.
And it is, you can just imagine the day. It is a downpour downtown, 3rd and George, and it is just flooding the streets. And I'm sure Wally was just like, hey, another day in Prince George, let's go take some photos. And that's the amazing thing also, is that Wally's photography really captures the ages, the decades of Prince George, the changes that have occurred in culture, in style, in architecture, in environmental changes as well. All of a sudden you start going, oh, there used to be a green space over here, right?
Or Goat Island.
Exactly. It used to be an island, exactly. So again, can't say enough about how important Wally West is to this community, really.
Yeah. Today we give you a snapshot you can imagine the sound of, right? You know how this goes, like brap, 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 brap. From Priscilla Joseph out for a rip near Cobb Lake. Beautiful shot here, Priscilla. Thanks so much. Looks like lots of fun being had with the winter weather. I imagine the recent snow dump would add to that fun. Thanks so much for sending this in. If you have a snapshot, send it our way. Snapshot@ckpg.com. Hey there, got an idea or suggestion for the show? Reach out and connect through our social media or send us an email at letstalk@ckpgtoday.ca. Here's some events to check out coming up here in Prince George and area. Stop by the Amanika Art Center for Lost and Forgotten. This is the Artist in Residence reception event. Of course, their Artist in Residence this month is Natalie Breckus. Coming up at the CN Center, see some great stunts from some great athletes on bikes. They are athletes, yes. February 8th, FMX World Tour revs up their engines here in Prince George. Coming up on February 8th as well, there's Brahms Symphony No. 2. If you're a fan of the Prince George Symphony Orchestra and what they do, catch this performance at Vanier Hall. The 38th annual Prince George Iceman is set to roll out on February 9th. You can skate, ski, swim, and do a lot of running as well. It's great entertainment as well for spectators. If you have an event, send us the info. Let's talk at ckpgtoday.ca. Lots of old buildings in Prince George. Lots of them have burned down. But there are still some to celebrate and some to look back on the construction of, including Studio 2880. Did you know the history of that building? It's been around a heck of a lot longer than I thought. It's also been a heck of a lot more things than I thought. Let's educate today. Just by looking at this photo, you can hear the sound of the carpenter at work here. Norris Paulson was working on the renovations of the forestry buildings on 15th Avenue. Now you would know those forestry buildings as Studio 2880. So yeah, that's how old Studio 2880 is. That building has actually been changed twice. It was a military building, then the forestry buildings, now Studio 2880. And soon to be maybe something else as well if Studio 2880 gets their wish and finds a new home. Yeah, I know Studio 2880, of course, wants to move on from the building into a newer facility, but I mean, hey,
there's few buildings that have history like that around town. Anyways, thanks so much for watching today, and good luck if you're playing poker. If you're playing against Cal, you're probably going to lose. We'll see you for more great stuff on the show tomorrow, folks. Bye for now.